It is the winter solstice. And I, the Sherry Come Lately, have decided to make this a annual ritual and to celebrate it fully, because I feel like one of the big gifts of this 2020, the year that never was, has been to anchor me more with the planet and with the earth, because I literally had nothing else to do. But stare at green things and flowers, and it gave me a very, very deep appreciation for my home, your home, our home. It's been pretty great. And so that means you have to celebrate the solstices, and the equinoxes. So this in the Northern Hemisphere is, of course, the winter solstice today. And what I love about it so much is that it's the celebration of the coming of the light, the coming of transformation, the coming of light. It's the darkest day of the year, and it marks the beginning of the light coming back into our lives, which I think is something very much worth celebrating and so timely. So I love that. And I love it so much. I'm going to do a whole thing about that in January, a whole thing about transformation and using the energy and the atmosphere of transformation to begin to write some new stories. And I think that would be really fun if you would join me. But without further ado, I'm going to bring on this amazing powerhouse spirit of a woman. She's gorgeous. She's a model. But that isn't what I would say she's most proud of, or she considers her big achievement. She's the CEO of Model Meals, founder. She's a podcaster. She's a self-care coach. But what I really think about her, she's one of those inspirers, one of those uplifters, one of those spirits that comes to the planet to show us how to open our hearts more. So I'm going to bring her on right now, and her name is Danika Brysha. Here she comes.
Hi, Sherry.
Hello, my beloved.
That was so sweet. Thank you. I mean, I'm in awe of you. You're one of my favorite people. So.
Oh my gosh. Well, I hearken back to when we first met, which was so touching for me. I think you asked me to meet you for coffee.
I can't believe you actually met me for coffee. I think that's where we should start. I saw you speak at I was the Amazing Women Entrepreneurs Conference, and this had to be like 5 or 6 years ago.
At Wanderlust.
Yeah.
Wanderlust.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, cool. And I just your charisma and the way you told your storytelling and your presence, I was just blown away. And I was, I went up to the stage after. I was like crossing my fingers to see if I could connect with you. And it's pretty surreal to be talking here 5 or 6 years later.
And I also remembered you in the audience. So the reason why I said yes to having coffee with you, even though you were a stranger, was because I remembered you in the audience. You were like lit up, like you had this glow, and you were lit up. And I think I ended up doing my whole talk really directly just to you. But we met at a coffee shop near my home at the time in Los Feliz. And we had such a great conversation. But here's what I find so impressive about you, as everybody else. People are jumping on like crazy. Oh, Sherry's sound is low.
You sound okay to me.
Am I too low? And be hands-on. Hi, Rhea. I'm gonna just wait for a second. Tell me if I'm too low. Give me a thumbs up. Hi, Max. Oh, Max. He's a star. He's a media icon star. I'm just gonna wait and see if anybody else tells me that they can't hear me. Oh, she's saying move my hair. Move my hair. Oh, I know why. I know why. Here's why. Because my mic isn't plugged in. All right. See, that's what I'm telling you. I used to have people. There we go. There we go. Yay. Okay, we're back in business. what I thought was so amazing about you is first meeting, we sit down, we exchange greetings, and you, my friend, have no trouble moving right into vulnerable. I
Wow.
remember leaving our meeting and thinking, hi, Gordana. I remember leaving our meeting and thinking, that is, Sherry, that is a worthy quality. That's something to work
Mm.
on, where you can meet with somebody and no screwing around. No screwing around. You get right to vulnerability. You are, which creates such this, it's just it levels the playing field. It's like, okay, we're going to be like this with each other. We're going to be like, okay, we're just going to be real.
I mean, I think that was something. It's funny you say that because I did not grow up that way. I think I spent most of my life like shoveling down my feelings and not talking about them. And I struggled a lot with food as a result of that and disordered eating and binging and all that. And you know, what I realized, I don't know if it was through initially reading Daring Greatly from Brene Brown or whatever it was
Mm.
just the power of vulnerability and the power of, you know, I think when I started showing up on social media, and this is a big part of how I built my platform, was I just showed up and shared what I was navigating. And at the time, I mean, I was moving back into my parents' garage at nearly 30 years old.
I
I was
remember.
navigating, and I think I was living there maybe when we went to coffee.
Oh, yeah. I remember
And
my job was like, I was living at my parents' when I was 28. So I was comforting you saying, oh, I got a
yeah.
story for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you know, for me, I think it just really breeds connection and you just get past the sort of surface level stuff. I think we're all bored by
Right.
that anyway. So thank you.
Right.
That's a really sweet memory.
The whole experience was a very sweet memory for me, and I remember thinking that how honored I was that you wanted to reach out and spend time with me. So, what have you? I'm going to get to your beautiful no in a second, because that really is the heart of our conversation here. But so much has happened for you. I've been watching you and you share so much. It's really easy to feel like I'm in the know with you. What would you say that, oh, I'm going to even drill down to the last 12 months that you are feeling most satisfied about in this year that never was, 2020, the year that never was. Um, what are you feeling as it begins? We start moving toward the close, like 10 days left. What are you feeling satisfied about?
Hmm. So this year brought me more spaciousness. In March, my partner and I bought a house in Las Vegas and moved here sort of out of the blue a week before everything locked down for COVID. So we moved and had more physical space. And then, you know, soon enough, I, you know, lost all of my modeling jobs, which is a big source of, you know, my revenue as a sort of small
Yes,
business owner. And
yes,
lost all my
yes.
modeling jobs. But what it did was it carved space. And I deeply believe that we have to have spaciousness for creativity to come through. It carved space to birth this idea that has been in my heart for the last, you know, 3 or 4 years as I worked with women around self-care. And it's called Self-Care Society. And it's this idea that like we need to be working our mental, emotional, spiritual muscles, just like we do our physical muscles at the gym.
That's right.
And, you know, my partner's in recovery from opiates and I have been in the recovery programs for food. And what I saw there with the vulnerability of people just kind of sharing and having a safe space to show up and be human and connect on some of this deeper stuff. I feel like that everyone needs that. And so we wanted to create a space that was sort of for that. And it's just like, I cannot begin to tell you how fulfilled I feel seeing the impact that it's having on people and the impact it's having on me. And so I'm really proud of the space that it is and sort of, you know, it felt like an if you build it, they will come moment. And
Oh
so,
my gosh. It
you know,
so is. It
yeah.
so is. You know, isn't this, tell me if this rings true for you, so I just don't make this assumption. But I find myself, I only want to have the conversations that I need the most.
Mm,
You know, I just keep like, okay, in January, I'm going to do a 5-day workshop on transformation
mm,
and the power of writing and story
mm,
in transformation. And it's because that's what I need. because I want to ignite that energy. I want to create that vibrational climate. And so you get to create it in this day and age with all these fangled devices, and then you get to just swim in it, right? You get to kind of fill your own aquarium, populate it as you wish, and then swim in it. And then I think that's how you really begin to create that world of your dreams.
You just, the way that you just articulated that, like every single sentence got better and better. The aquarium and the swimming. And it's, oh my gosh, it is so true though. It is so true. The lessons that we're learning in this specific community are the same ones that I need to learn over and over and over that have had such an impact. So yeah, I mean, 100%. It's been beautiful.
So I'm going to circle back to you now with the beautiful no. So yeah. that is the title story in my memoir, The Beautiful No, and other tales of trial, transcendence, and transformation. See, I really do like that word. But the reason why I like The Beautiful No so much, people who haven't read it think I mean learning how to say no, which is a very good skill. I'm not nothing against that. I think we can all learn a little bit more of that. But The Beautiful No is, in my life, was one of my greatest disappointments, one of my most untimely rejections. Something, an opportunity snatched away that I thought I desperately needed so badly. And it was, the same old song, out of money, desperate, feeling old and like a failure. Like if this doesn't come through, I don't know what's going to happen. And of course, that was a really short time before I got the call that led to the career of my dreams. So, what I realized years later is that beautiful no, that is a spiritual foundation that we can all lean on. It's basically going back in our life experiences and saying, where did it really hurt? Where was it really tough? And with just a little perspective, beginning to excavate the gem, the jewel, the gift, and seeing that road not taken thing, seeing that, if not for that beautiful no, Lord knows where I would have ended up and all the gifts that I wouldn't have received as a result. So I pose the question to you, in everything that's so gone right in your life and everything that you've shared, what is your beautiful no?
So I feel like this question couldn't be more timely because, I think about how many people I speak with who are, especially in the career space right now, are feeling, and which specifically with your story, are feeling no after no after no, if not even an opportunity. And so as I've sort of prepared to chat with you today and you posed this question, earlier this week, I've been really thinking about it, and there's a few and they sort of all line together. But I think the main beautiful no that has cultivated the reality I have for myself now is way back. And it's a no that came in a lot of different ways. So it's this conversation for me. It was a conversation around body and self-worth. And, I was always a bigger girl, curvier girl. And I saw in the media from a young age that if I looked a certain way, that meant I was valuable and I was worthy. And so it became my mission in life to lose weight for most of my life. And I was on diets and for nonstop. I was severely bulimic. I got into drugs, and then I just sort of developed binge eating disorder and just sort of fought this cycle for a long time. And my purpose at that time in life was weight loss, which I think about now and I look back and I'm like, how sad that so much of my beautiful energy, which can create so much and has now created so much in life, went to that. And so I wanted to be a model. I thought that was the way to be enough, and that was the way to be worthy. And so my goal was just weight loss. And eventually, I was trying, and it was like, no, because I was never thin enough. And I finally got really exhausted. And all of those no's led me to, being 21, finished college, and I was at the Bank of America in LA, and I was approached by some modeling agents who asked me if I'd ever thought about plus size modeling. And I said, I hadn't. I didn't know that was a thing. And I signed with this modeling agency, and they, as a plus size model, as a size 14, as exactly as I was when I settled and I dieting and I stayed in my natural body. And I signed with them, and my career took off really quickly. And I think that this moment, though, like you said, modeling is not my main identifier at this point by any means. This moment opened me up to the expansion and the journey I'm on now, because it was like the catalyst to self-love. And it changed my perspective of beauty. And then it put me in the industry learning that lesson. Like you say, we always learn the lessons we talk about and learn the lessons that we need to learn about. It threw me into the industry, and I somehow became this body positive influencer. And I was not body positive my whole life, but I actually, so very interesting. So this led me to, I moved to New York City and signed with a big modeling agency out there, and sort of got into wellness and followed that journey. And then I lost some weight and lost all my modeling jobs because I was not big enough or small enough. I was in the middle, lost all of my income. And then that's when I had to move home into my parents' garage. And I lived in my parents' garage for 2 years. And that felt like another big no. Like for a second there in 2014, I was in New York City and I was living in the West Village and I thought I was doing the thing. Yeah. And then I get a pink slip on my door and pay my rent in 3 months. I'm binge eating 10,000 calories in secret. I'm, just kind of miserable, and had to just get humble and move back to my parents' garage. And during the time in my parents' garage, I built my first company. And I'm very proud of Model Meals and what it is today. And so I think those like two no's were huge catalysts of, the no that led to my self-worth and self-acceptance exactly as I was.
That's
not
right.
Trying to be something I wasn't. And then the no that created space, much like 2020 has created space for many of us. The second no was like the no that created space to follow what actually really lit me up. So,
yes. Well, you're like you're hinting at my underlying theme in this series and all of this, that even with its challenges and its heartaches and its isolation, there are some, and 2020 is a big fat beautiful no in many ways. The plans we thought we were going to have, the relationships we thought we were going to be able to discover. I'd had this plan to do this really cool social club in the town I'm living in. And I literally was just on the verge of sending out the email to like 30 people. And I was like, wow, that'll be a great way to get to know some really fun people. And it's like, shelter in place, over.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and then it was, I had just signed with a new speaking agent, a brilliant speaking agent, Miriam, in January, and then and who also represents Elizabeth Gilbert and Jennifer Pasteloff, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take whatever they don't take, I'll take, and then it's like, whoosh, it's just incinerated, and yet, when this is over, I know in my heart already that for me, my experience, that the gift of not being able to do anything and having to address my my addiction to the doing, to making things happen, even though I thought I had already done it. I thought I already tidied that up and wrapped it up in my book. This is all solved now. Oh, so not true. As I'm still like dressing and sitting at my kitchen table every day at 9:00, like I'm going to the office, so all of a sudden there's no need to do that because nothing's happening.
I'm so guilty.
And it's like, okay, why are you taking that old structure, which is really very patriarchal, the old structure of business and work, and applying it to your life where you don't really have anything to do? You know
Sherry,
what I'm saying?
100%. And that it's a conversation I have a lot. And that's probably the work that I'm doing right now the most is the being versus doing. But it makes me laugh
Right.
because every part of my life, even when I didn't have when I was modeling full time, I would do the same thing. I was like, I have so much work to do today.
So much. Oh,
Sit
listen,
down.
Sherry, she's so busy with my middle name. I have so much work to do. Like those were, I just kept speaking that into being. I really do
Yeah.
believe that when we speak like that about ourselves, we're casting our fate. Those are our words, our thoughts, our words are creative tools. So let's stop telling that story. But it's been a real gift this year because I'm like, it's 10:30 and I think, maybe I'll go check in the garden. And there's a part of me that's like, no, stay at your desk, which is the kitchen table and
Mhm.
do your fake work so you can feel productive. So it's really been a cleansing of all of that.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I'm very jealous of your garden. I just got into gardening and I mean,
Got a good one. Yeah.
it's incredible. But absolutely. And I don't know the answer, to be completely honest. There's such a balance that I'm trying to not compete with traditionally. I
Yeah.
love my work. It's my favorite thing. When I have days off, I want to do something related to it, but finding that balance. And I think the biggest thing we're going to see in terms of self-care and wellness in the near future is play. I think play
Yeah.
is going to be the trend. I hate to call it a
Right.
trend, but it's going to be the next stage where we realize that as adults, we've just been so serious. And
Well, and
so,
also
yeah.
also too, I mean, just a little something from my treasure chest, understanding that, if the word work is a trigger, stop using it.
Mm,
If that's a trigger, like instead, what you're doing is you're creating and innovating, and that can be across all kinds of areas of your life. It's like I can go out and sit in the garden and be working, like coming up with ideas and things like that. It's like when you try to compartmentalize it too tightly, then you're always in this constant dance of, am I in balance? Am I out of balance? Instead of just really figuring out how to go through the flow of life. So to your point, I think play in everything, play in meditation, play in
hmm
silliness, play in creativity, play when you're innovating. Like really, like I still have to unstrap my serious lunch pail 9 to 5 Midwestern mentality, like earn that paycheck.
Well, I don't know if you remember, Sherry, but when after our first date, you gave me your CD, your Abraham Hicks CDs.
Oh,
They were actual CDs, Sherry. They were like,
yes.
like the actual disc, and you gave them
I
to
know.
me.
I'm gonna embarrass myself and tell you I still get the CDs and play them in my car. So I can only listen to them when I'm in my car. I can't figure it out. The MP3 thing, I can't
It's
figure it out. Go
it's
ahead.
fine. It's fine. But my point being, and I've been a fan of Abraham Hicks for a long time, and I don't know if you still listen and
Oh,
are still. I think you do, right? Yeah.
oh yeah.
There and it's just for me, I'm really trying to be in the practice of being in the energy of really paying attention to vibration and I think that happens in the being. I know for me, we did a tour in 2018 and we did 66 events, lived in an RV for 10 months. I mean, it was crazy. And I can't begin to tell you how little creativity I had and how little expansion I had because of the constant doing and busyness. It
Right.
just does not come when we're in the hamster wheel. And
That's
I
right.
think that, as for me, even as a business owner, the times where I've had expansive ideas or innovative ideas or ideas that really took things to the next level, it's when I slowed down. But why is it so hard for us? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's because they're ingrained patterns. And you have to bring it to light. You have to bring it to consciousness. Otherwise, you just keep doing the same old dance, and you're just like, it feels like life. It's the
Yeah.
same old dance, which is why it feels like life. It's kind of like why that false sense of drama, like, oh my God, is it good enough? Is it going to be okay? Am I going to make the deadline? Is the show going to air? 5, 4, 3, 2. That you can mistake that for the life force. That is not the life force. The life force is that quiet, quiet, quiet thing. When you hook into it, because you've stilled yourself so deeply that you feel clear
Mm.
and good and satisfied. A very different energy than, oh my God, we're not going to make air. Very different.
The,
Or how am I going to get everything done? Or I'm so overwhelmed. And I think one of our and this is certainly from my I'm a student of Abraham Hicks for 15, 16, 17 years now, is that just kind of understanding that overwhelm and boredom is really about momentum, which is a description of energy and flow, which is if you're starting to feel like it's too much, slow it down. If you're starting to feel like it's a little sleepy, dial it up. And you dial it up by focus and thinking about things. And then sometimes, have you ever done this? I love the practice of daydreaming. Sometimes I'll daydream so much, I'll get into a place of overwhelm about my daydreams. Like I'm like, oh my God, but how will I manage it all? All those wonderful things. How will I maintain that fantastic relationship? And it's like, okay, time to get off that subject. Because you're sherryizing it now.
I mean, it's one of my favorite practices, and I get what you're saying. There's a balance of doing that and actually, operating in the day to day. But something I've been doing for the last 5 years that has been so impactful for me is I write a future biography for like 5 years in the future. So what would I want my biography to say? And it's not always
Nice.
specific. I think as I get older, it's actually more spacious and not as specific. It's more like this or something better. But it's been so powerful. But yeah, I agree with you. I think I'm really trying to do my best to finding that balance of not doing so much that we can have that space, that creative space, that expansive space that everything comes through.
I totally agree. And I think you brought the gem tonight in saying that, talking about creating space, that this year forced creative space into our lives, and what we've done with that. Here's what I want to say. If you've squandered it, you've got 10 more days. So all is not lost. So grab hold of those days and take that space, even though for many people it'll be, holiday busy, and just find that space, so you make sure that sometime in this year that you've sucked the nectar out of that gift. That you really, which I think my friend Gordana talks about, sucking the nectar out of life, and she's been on. I want to know, I haven't done this yet. This is going to be a wild turn, Danika.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions? Hi, Bella.
Hi,
Does
everyone.
Anybody have a question?
While we wait for questions, Sherry,
yes.
What has the space gifted you this year? What's come through?
Oh, yeah. Well, for sure. What it's gifted me is it's gifted me that sight to see that I hadn't healed. I hadn't healed my doing-itis quite yet. That I understood it intellectually, but when I'm doing that crazy fake workday thing, that I could see that like it's Tuesday and maybe I'm not going to do anything. What? Oh my God. And it's not really like I feel that sense of doing ambition. All it is a pattern. It's just a habit. And in order to mix it up, that means I have to do something crazy, like go jump in the pool at 10:45 when I could be on a Zoom meeting, or do nothing, go for an aimless stroll that I'm not trying to accomplish anything, like get my steps in, burn off 10,000 calories in in 5 miles, that it's just aimless and purposeless, and there's no end game, that I'm really content to be, still and just unproductive.
Yeah. And
the spirituality of unproductivity.
That can be your next book. I think that's brilliant. I 100%. And I think it's about presence. And for me, I always say we should seek inspiration outside of ourselves, that we should seek answers within. And I think in the personal development space, the reason people are consistently searching for the next guru or expert or whatever is because they're not instead of consuming more information, we need more space to go inward, because we have our answers. That was one of the biggest things I discovered when I changed my diet and I cleared my head, when the brain fog lifted and I got sober. All of a sudden I had all these answers that were inside me that I've been looking for everywhere. And then it's like things just started making sense. And I think that's the big thing has been for me, is if I don't get still and quiet, I see myself looking for answers everywhere else, and not except for inside.
So we had a question there that talked about what happens if something about space. I'm going to go back. How do you manage the space issue when you have things beyond your control that impact your personal space?
For me, I mean, what I'll say is I have just, I get up really early, and this is not going to be everyone's answer, so just bear with me. But I started getting up really early because I found that it was the only time that people didn't bother me. And it was so critical for me to have time to meditate and to have time to go inward. And I realized I wasn't really missing out on anything, but went to bed earlier at night. So I don't sacrifice sleep. I think sleep is so important. But I do get up really early, and that's been the way that I can find that space. But I also really encourage people to realize that it doesn't have to be an hour or 3 hours. It can be 5 minutes. We really underestimate what we can do in really short periods of time, which is with Self-Care Society why we do 30-minute classes, because like in 10 minutes, in 5 minutes, we can do so much to completely shift our mindset, to shift our nervous system and move out into the day in a completely different vibration. So
that's so true.
Yeah.
And let's also talk about that it all begins with framing. I can think of the million times when we were talking about earlier, like I have so much work to do. I repeated that like a mantra. So of course it was my truth, as opposed to I have all the free time I need. I have the free time I need. I have the space I need, and let the universe deliver it to you. That's when we exercise a little bit of faith.
Yes.
That's when we walk the talk and say, I have all the space I need, and the space will find me. And knowing that it's not, it doesn't have to be a 3-day retreat, like you're saying.
Yes.
It can be very, 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 very small. Go ahead.
We did an exercise the other day in one of my classes, and I had everyone fill in the blank. Blank is really easy for me. And we just came up with statements that, they came up with 3 to 5 statements that said, and I said, what do you want to be really easy for you? What's the thing you're navigating? What's the thing you're going through? So for me, it's like eating mindfully is really easy for me. Setting boundaries with technology and social media is really easy for me.
Yeah.
And like you said, just repeating these is sort of our mantras, because whatever we are repeating is going to become our truth and our reality. So I love that you called it.
That is absolutely for sure. And then Max asked us about what is our definition of self-compassion. I'll let you go first.
Oh, okay. So I really, for self-compassion and self-love and self-care, I always talk about the connection between self-love and self-care. Because if you're struggling with self-love and you practice actions of self-care, what happens is you are subconsciously telling yourself you are worth taking care of. You are worthy. You have worth.
You're precious.
And then vice versa. Right. And vice versa is if you think about something you love a lot, like your dog, or maybe it's someone's kids or partner or whatever, that you naturally take care of. It's easy to want to give your dog all the joy in the world and take them on all the walks and give them the best life. And it's because you love them so deeply. And so our goal as humans should be to love ourselves in that same way. And self-care becomes not even, there's no more willpower involved. When you love something deeply, you want to take care of it. And so I found that the more I cultivate self-love and self-worth, the more natural it is for me to do things like get enough sleep and set healthy boundaries and move my body mindfully all of the self-care.
Yeah, I think self-compassion, first of all, I will say I'm right on board with you. Radical self-care saved my life, for sure, in a million trillion ways. And I don't do it perfectly. So that's where my real self-compassion comes in, that the honoring and blessing and embracing of my imperfect self.
Mm. Yes.
That's the practice for me
A,
of
a word,
self-compassion.
a word I've been lingering in lately is gentle. Gentle, gentle,
Oh,
gentle. Like when I reach for food that I know doesn't serve me, and I give myself permit, and I'm like, oh, sweet, that's that, like this, there's just the gentleness. And I'm trying to really ask myself where I can be more gentle in every
yeah.
little subtle thing that I do. I don't know. I love that word gentle. I think it's
Gentle's very
I
good.
think we need,
Gentle,
yeah,
soft, gentle, tender,
graceful,
tender,
tender.
graceful, sweetly. Like really like dialing down the volume
Yeah,
on that self-talk and just
yeah.
replacing it with those gentle tones. I think that's very good. Well, I loved your beautiful now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you, my friend?
So you can find me at Danika Brysha. It's just my main Instagram page. And at Self Care Society, I mean, this is like exactly, this is the language we speak there. We have a really cool year program that's only $50 for 6 weeks. It's starting on the
Amazing.
27th with some incredible stuff around manifesting and visualizing and all that. And then I have Model Meals, which is my meal delivery company. But I'm always here to support if you're struggling with food or body image or any of the things that I said resonated. Please reach out, and I'm always happy to help however I can. So
You're so amazing. You're so amazing. I appreciate you. I
thank
adore
you.
you. And I will be in touch with you very soon, my friend.
I hope so. Thank you so much for having me,
Thanks.
Sherry. Good to see
Yes.
you.
Good to see you.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Guys, talk about an angel on earth. She is amazing. She is amazing. I really encourage you to follow her. That light that you see, that's the real thing. That is for sure. There's my cousin Meg Winter. Oh my God, you guys. The Saladas had the Cousins Christmas of the century. It was really amazing. Of course, it was by Zoom. It was, I counted it up, almost 50 cousins by Zoom. You're set up right away. You're like, oh, it's Zoom. It's not going to be as good. Best ever. Best ever. You know why it was the best ever? Because normally there's so much falla lying and hubbubbing that we don't get to really talk to each other. Like we have conversations like, what are you doing? Hi, fa la 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 la. We do songs, we do skits. Uncle Bob sings Oh Holy Night. Auntie Margie reads the annual poem that she wrote, which is fantastic. We have these special traditions, but we had to do all those things on Zoom. So of course I'm producing and I'm sitting there in front of my laptop and there are all these faces. And we did a moment where we said we still did the caroling. We said we didn't sound like those cool Facebook Zoom choirs. I must tell you, it was not that. We need some rehearsal to pull that off. But I would say that, and the poem and Uncle Bob sang "Oh Holy Night" and he nailed it. But we did this special thing where we went around and everybody talked about what the family meant to them. And I am telling you, not a dry eye in the house, my friends. I am telling you, from the littlest saying, I'm so proud to be a part of this family because we care for each other, to one of the older ones in the generation weeping about the unconditional love he feels coming from this extended family. I was like, oh my God, this is talk about making Christmas lemonade. It was the best ever. So I share this with you to say, if you are on the fence or thinking about trying to do a little Christmas cheer with friends or family or whatever, there's something about that moment where you say, I'm going to tell you what you mean to me. That is the treasure of this season by far. And I just had that experience Saturday night. And I highly recommend it. And you guys are so adorable. You're so adorable. You're such great friends to be on an Insta Live with. I really appreciate your participation. And I'm really excited to be having these conversations with some of my fave people. Oh, Meg, you made it happen, produced it so well. I love you, Meg. Meg introduced her baby son, Will, one of our new little great grandbabies. That was a moment. There was a dry eye for that. We have two little new babies, and that their first cousin's Christmas was on Zoom. So it'll be, I took pictures, I recorded it. So it'll be a Christmas to remember for sure for the Salata clan. Here's what I'm saying to us on this winter solstice before we all go out and take a peek at the night sky or do some writing by the fire or light a candle and really think about how we're going to ignite that energy of transformation in our lives. I'm telling you, I think it's an atmosphere that we can create around ourselves that is going to take something, it's going to take this 2021 and really it's going to be like the beautiful gentle rise, that gentle word that Danika was talking about. So if you're up for that, come and join me for those 5 days in January. It's just going to be us chatting about the things that matter most and some tools that I found very effective that might help us all. It's something we're going to hold hands on and do together. And you can go to sherrysalata.com/transformation. And I would love to see you there. And I'll keep talking more about it because I'm really excited. I'm really excited. I think it's going to be a really great, authentic, loving experience. And I think we could all use some transformation. Oh, yes, Nada, you signed up. Yes, it's Write Your New Story 2021. We're going to do some interesting things together, but it is a co-creative experience, and I can't do it without you. Somebody's saying, miss the podcast with Nancy. Listen, that Nancy Holla is my ride or die. And, we decided to break for a year to do some other creative things. Nancy has a booming brand business. She's in episode 1. You can go back and see her in episode 1. She revealed her beautiful now, which was great. Hi, listener from Sweden. Oh my God, I love Sweden so much. I'm Swedish. My grandfather, Arthur Anderson, I'm Swedish. Yeah, so we're just finding ways to share content and connect and stretch our creative wings and support one another. But thank you all so much. Oh, and Jill, you're so sweet. You show up for everything. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the compliment, Christopher. Great interview with Jody. Yeah, Jody Salata. We had some technical issues, so we'll see if in the end I'll be able to post it. Our fantastic editor, Ted. I love you. You are OMG. You OMG. You always show up and you always care about my dogs. I thank so much. Yes, Max, www.sherrysalata.com/transformation. Max, I hope you come. I hope you come to my 5-day transformational workshop. It's going to be fantastic. It is the solstice. So let's end with this thought that just the tiniest little breath of a lean in on allowing more light in our lives. Starting tonight on this historic winter solstice, starting tonight, and just leaning in every single of the last 10 days of this year so that when it comes to January 1st, our pump is primed. Our pump is primed, and we have leaned in to creating that energetic climate of transformation. And we're almost like a child on Christmas morning. We can't wait to see the gifts that 2021 is going to hand to us because we're ready to receive. That's what we're doing. We're getting ourselves ready to receive. And I'm there in it with you. Love you. Thanks for showing up to What's Your Beautiful Note. And I wish you the happiest of winter solstices, one of my new favorite holidays.